Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion?
Well, thank you so much. Thank God it's a Friday, this lovely Friday morning, the 1st of September 2023. And of course, it's lovely. If you are tuned in the station, you're on to Unity 93.3 FM this morning as it's Unity Trend review segment of it. Yes, before we go on and even tell you my name, I wanted to know, in as much as conflict is inevitable, violent conflict is absolutely avoidable. Beatrice Adamuiji is my name, and I'll be the conductor of Unity Train this morning. I have a wonderful gentleman in the studio, my own brother and shock observer of Unity Train. If you let me address him as that, Mr. Danjuma Samuel Abu. Danjuma, good morning.
Thank you, Kubi. Thank you, listener and viewer, for being there. We appreciate your followership. I remain yours truly, Danjuma Samuel Abu, and I want to assure you have a safe ride this morning.
Yes, you have a safe ride this morning. Again, in the studio of Unity 93.3 FM this morning is an in-house analyst and political scientist, Mr. Shaibu. Dr. Shaibu, good morning.
Yeah, thank you, Kubi. Good morning, viewer and listener. Thank you for staying tuned. It's a pleasure being here. We look forward to an interesting interface this beautiful Friday morning. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. You may need to take advantage of our wide coverage and advertise your events, goods, and services on Unity 93.3 FM and, of course, TV. Thank you so much. Discussion begins. Danjuma, this is the first day of this very month.
September.
Of the month of September. And after this day, there will never be a day 1st September 2023.
Definitely.
And so we have to make the best out of it to live in peace with ourselves and in peace with our neighbors.
Definitely.
And that is why, of course, the first segment, the first thing we do is to begin to look at issues as we have them on our national dailies. And today, we begin with this one that has to do with coup. And it says, a military coup not possible in Nigeria and Ghana. Femi, Fani, Kayode. You know, I actually, would have loved to want us to look at how we should be setting conversations these days.
Yes.
Because not only because of Nigeria, but because of what is happening in Africa. We just have the 7th, military takeover in Africa in 2 years' time,
Definitely,
2 years period.
Definitely.
And now someone is saying it's not possible in Ghana and in Nigeria. Yes, of course, you may want to look at it, it's not possible, but of course there are issues that we have to look into to tackle them timely, so that we will begin to rescue any possibility anywhere.
Definitely.
Gabon never knew
It was going to happen. Nigeria never knew it was going to happen.
That's the same thing. So, Shaibu.
Well, the statement is credited to Femi Fani Kayode, an APC chieftain, a very controversial figure, everybody knows, and we feel that, we could discuss this here because, developments, things have kept happening since the Gabon coup, and we have a moral duty as a media outfit to keep the public abreast with developments as far as this particular issue, of the coup in Gabon, and of course in the whole of Africa, is actually concerned. Now, Femi Fani Kayode is of the view that it's not likely for a coup to happen in Nigeria and in Ghana. And I think some of the things he has given as reasons why he feels a coup is not possible in Nigeria and Ghana are things that might actually seem to make some sense. But at the same time, like you have actually pointed out in your preamble, we can't rule it out completely. It all depends on circumstances. You see, circumstances are dynamic, situations are dynamic, things do always always do. I mean, things always do change, you know, and so I think at this point, you know, in Africa, we can't say that a coup is possible or not possible. We can't categorize or theorize it, you know.
Yes.
It's not about what people think, you know. It's about what, you know, people feel their, you know, peculiar situations are. It's about the emergence or the presence or the existence of conditions that are capable of prompting or triggering certain tendencies, you know. And you were right when you said that Gabon never knew this was going to happen. Even Niger too never knew this was going to happen. So as long as people live, as long as socio-political conditions continue to change, you know, surprises will always continue to, you know, to emerge on the political landscapes of the world and things like that. Now, Femi Fani-Kayode is actually saying that, given, first of all, the fact that democracy has yet to take or gain a solid footing in Anglophone, I mean, in Francophone African countries, that is French-speaking African countries, and then the fact that the political climate seems a little more stable in Nigeria and Ghana, it is unlikely, although he didn't use the word unlikely, it's even impossible, you know, according to him, for a coup to actually happen in Nigeria. And I think that on those grounds, I would say that Femi Fani-Kayode is making some sense. If you look at, you know, if you do a comparison between Anglophone Africa and Francophone Africa, you of course will see some sort of disparity, some sort of difference, even in terms of, you know, the political conditions, the political maturity, the political, you know, climate in the two, in the two, you know, parts of Africa. You know, this is the issue. In Nigeria, for example, I think, I mean, and everyone knows this, since 1999 till date, there hasn't been, you know, any interruption of the democracy we were enjoying. I think the only time there was an attempt to actually truncate democracy was, you know, I think in 2007, when then President Olusegun Obasanjo attempted to tinker with the constitution to allow for a third term and things like that. And who knows, if that had succeeded, it might have actually, you know, given room for an attempt to sit tight and things like that. I think that since 1999 till date, Nigeria hasn't had a sit-tight leader. You know, this is the issue. We have a constitution that prescribes, you know, a 4-year constitutional single tenure, and then a second, you know, tenure of another 4 years, making it 8, after which it's no longer possible to, you know, and so I think Nigerians, you know, and even her leaders have tried as much as possible to stick to that. That's why since 1999 till date, we haven't had, and you could see what happened during, I mean, when Obasanjo attempted a third term. You know, the whole country was agog, right? Citizens were critical. The civil society, you know, was I mean, civil society organizations were agog. They were critical. They were very loud. They were very, you know, instrumental on the issue and things like that. On the floor of the Senate, there were senators who rose against the issue and things like. In fact, the death of then Senator Yaro Gandhi, you know, has continued to be attributed to, you know, his uncompromising stance against Obasanjo's attempted third term and things like that. So I think, given the, you know, comparative or relative stability of the political climate in Nigeria, the, you know, vibrancy, you know, of the civil society, and then I think the political, you know, socialization of Nigerians, the political awareness of Nigerians themselves, I think you could say that, you know, we are a little bit, you know, invulnerable to, you know, such tendencies and things like that. But when you look, you know, by contrast at, you know, Anglophone, I mean, Francophone African countries, you discover that the reverse is virtually the case. Nigeria, yes, has continued to be, you know, susceptible to imperialist, you know, interferences and things like that. We can't say that we are completely free from, you know, the stronghold of imperialist countries like America, Britain, and things like that. But I think the hold is not as, you know, as tight as what obtains in Francophone Africa. You know, there is no French-speaking country that is not under the grip of France. That is the truth. And even after the Gabon coup, some analysts in Gabon actually did say that one of the things that is actually triggering coups in, you know, a French-speaking Africa is the surge, the growth of anti-France sentiment. You know, people are actually getting tired of, you know, France's, you know, strong grip on these nations. According to reports, and truly so, there are about 14 African countries, most of which are French-speaking African countries, that are actually under, the strict control of France. For example, Niger, of course, like we all know, is an ex-colony of France. Niger is very rich in uranium, and according to reports, 30% of that uranium actually goes to France, which she actually uses to service her nuclear industries and things like that. Only 5% of the uranium in Niger actually contributes to Niger's gross domestic product and things like that. That is number one. Number two, all the currencies of these countries I've mentioned, these 14 countries, are under the strict control of France. How? I did give an example some times ago when Robert Mugabe was booted out of office by angry soldiers, before the, emergence of Emerson Mnangagwa, as president. Any sort of control over their finances. Their currencies are printed by France, their foreign reserves are under the strict supervision of France, to which they have little or no access, and then even after their currencies are printed, they have to pay for printing and things like that. So it is possible that these these military interventions are an expression of anger, an expression of frustration, an expression of sentiment against France's strict hold on these countries and things like that, which is not what we have in Nigeria. And I'm glad a certain high-ranking military officer did call on Nigerian soldiers yesterday to actually ensure that they remain loyal to the commander-in-chief and things like that. But I think, like you rightly said, we can't rule out. We will not want a military coup, because I think we're fine, although there are conditions are deteriorating and things like that, but how sure are we that we are going to be better off under a military? Because, and historically speaking, Nigeria never did well, even under military regimes. This is the issue. So what guarantee have we that if the military takes over, we are going to be better off and things like that? So I think at the end of the day, like General Abdusalami Abubakar did caution Nigerian leaders, I think African leaders, what we need to do is to find a way to address the causes of military coups and not the symptoms. This is the issue, because it's not just happening, it's happening as an inevitable and a natural reaction to an existential, situation. This is the issue. So I think the onus is on African leaders to, and Nigeria too, to ensure that living conditions are okay, to ensure that there are jobs, the poverty is reduced, insecurity is reduced and things like that, just so that, the messianic mentality of the soldiers is not actually challenged.
Okay, thank you very much. Doro, you see, now you're bringing up a whole angle to this whole issue. It's not really that the people just want to have leadership, but it is because they are angry. They are not accepting France continuous, leadership dominance over them, and so. But of course, one of the things outlined as the reason for taking over in Gabon, it's because of electoral, irregularities and things like that. Do you think? What about, I want us to look at the angle that Gabon is described as poverty-stricken country, which Nigeria is not far from. Yes. Okay, is this not a possibility? One of the things that you think must have caused this military takeover?
You're actually right. Now, you see, according to reports, I've listened to a variety of, analyses on this issue, and I think I'm okay with some of the positions that some analysts have actually taken. If you talk about even, the fraudulent nature or electoral infractions that actually characterize the elections that threw up, Ali Bongo as third-term winner of the presidential election that took place on Saturday. I think, you're actually right. But the question is, how was he even able to hold sway, for all these years? And how was his father, Umar Bongo, able to also hold sway for 42 years in power and things like that? It is because he had actually had the support of France. And let me tell you this, Colby, and I think this is true. You know, France actually has had a hand in, you know, the successive presidents that, you know, do I even use the word successive? Because since 1967, it had been the Bongos in power. His father, Umar Bongo, and then later his son, Ali Bongo. So I don't even think it is right to use the word successive, because besides the two of them, nobody else in Gabon has had access to power and things like that. But who do you even think has been responsible for the, you know, continued stay of the Bongos in power for all these years? Who do you think was responsible for the continued stay of Robert Mugabe for 37 years in power in Zimbabwe? Who do you think has been responsible for the continued stay of Nassingbe Eyadema of Congo? Is it, I mean, yeah, is it Congo? I hope I'm right. Sorry, is it Congo? Yeah, I think it's Congo. Who do you think has been responsible for that? Who do you think has been responsible for the long stay in power of Hufred Boigny in Cote d'Ivoire and things like that? It is these countries, especially France. It is not possible, you know, the thing is, France has always been responsible for producing, you know, leaders in all of these 14 countries that are actually mentioned. So if anybody has stayed in power for 30, 40 years, it is because such a person has had the backing, you know, of some of these countries. Now, according to reports, you know, according to certain reports, Mohamed Bazoum of Niger was actually doing the bidding of France, was actually dancing to the tune of France. And even as we speak, there are reports that seem to indicate that, you know, France is pulling all the strings, is doing everything possible to reinstate, you know, Mohamed Bazoum, because there is a certain, you know, a sort of a gentleman's agreement between Mohamed Bazoum and the government of France. And with the military now in place, you know, such arrangement might actually have collapsed. This is the issue. So if you're talking about electoral infractions and things like that, I think it has taken, you know, the monies, the financial support of France, you know, the political support of France, the economic support of France, for some of these leaders in some of these countries to have been able to hold sway for 20, 30, or even more years. This is the issue. So at the end of the day, I think it is true that it all boils down to, you know, the imperialist you know, tendencies of some of these world powers.
So I think maybe I'm beginning to see that possibly, you know, one of the things the military rule in Niger, you know, beg to do before hand over leadership to civilian leadership is that they would have to do a constitutional review. You know, maybe probably it's because they want to have a constitutional standpoint with which it would do away with some of these countries who, for any reason, would want to continue to dominate leadership.
Definitely.
And so maybe this one has to do with coup as well. And it says, coup scare sit-tight leaders move against their military. You know, is another headline also, and then it has to do with coup, and then sit-tight leaders scares them. I want to believe that this doesn't scare only the sit-tight leaders, because on a normal ground, nobody would want to have a situation, you know, breaking history, such like having military coming into supposedly civilian-led administrations.
Well, sit-tightism has come to be a cankerworm. It's come to be a defining feature for the political culture in Africa. And even after independence, even after 50, 60 years of independence and all of that, it seems, you know, the political culture, the political, you know, conditions or circumstances in some of these countries have yet to outgrow, you know, these particular sit-tight phenomena and things like that. And so the question has always been, why has that been the case? According to certain reports, there are still about, you know, 15 African countries where, you know, there are leaders that have actually sat tight and have refused to give way and things like that. And for example, in Congo, I mean, in Gabon, of course, we had Umar Bongo, who stayed for 42 years, Paul Biya of Cameroon, 90 years old Paul Biya. He was not even in Cameroon, even as we speak. According to reports, he actually stays in, is it Brussels or thereabout? He's not even in Cameroon to actually take charge of the national affairs and things like that. He's pulling the strings right from where he is. He's 19 years old. He's 90 years old. He's he's infirm. He is and all of the doesn't even have the mental well-being to be able to handle the myriad of challenges that have confronted Cameroon and things like that. But he is still there. This is the issue. And then you have Jose Eduardo dos Santos of Angola, who stayed for 38 years. Nasingbe Eyadema of Togo. I mentioned this number earlier. It is actually Togo, not Congo. He's been there for 38 years. Robert Mugabe, who spent 38 years before he was eventually booted. You have Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, 35 years. And all of these, they are there. Now, back to the issue. Cameroon and Rwanda have actually moved to reshuffle their militaries in a sort of a natural reaction to the coup in Gabon. And apparently, like you did say, it's out of fear of the unknown, because, if it happened in Gabon, it happened in Niger, in Mali, in Guinea, and all of these countries, anything could actually happen. Sometimes experts will usually say, even in the 60s, when we did have military coups, military coups did happen then because of the prevalence of the same situation in other parts of the world. In India, there was a military coup, in Singapore, and all of these things. And so, like a wildfire, African leaders, I felt, oh yeah, why don't we also toe the same path? Why don't we follow suit? If it happened in India and other parts of the world, why can't we replicate same here, especially given our peculiar, socio-political circumstances and things like that? And I think that wildfire theory is actually sort of resurging because it's happened in about 6 or 7 African countries as we speak. And so I think there's been this palpable fear on the part of some African leaders. In fact, even President Bola Tinubu, who has been going helter-skelter, running from pillar to pole, trying to make sure that Mohamed Bazoum is reinstated and things like that, who also yesterday or the day before issued a statement regarding the development in Gabon. Some citizens are beginning to feel that, well, it's probably because he's also scared of the unknown and things like, even though, like we did say, we don't want that to happen in Nigeria. But you see, Paul Biya, who is not even in Cameroon as we speak, has decided to reshuffle. He has changed the chief of army staff and replaced him with somebody else. In Rwanda, the president has retired 12 generals. He has actually retired 86 senior senior and junior officers. He has retired about 86 or 80 senior non-commissioned officers and things like that, all in an attempt to actually secure the buy-in and consequently loyalty of the people he's bringing as replacement and things like that. But again, like the HAUSA person will say, so she hana mutua. If it's time to die, you're going to die. It doesn't matter, right? This is the issue. So I think that if as a result of the prevalence of certain situations with which people or citizens are not comfortable, it's going to happen. It doesn't matter who you actually have there. This is the issue. So you can change all the guards if you like. You can change. I mean, who even ever imagined?
Okay, it's like treating the symptoms
without addressing the cause of the. This is the issue. Who had imagined that Abdurrahman Chiani, who was the leader of the presidential guard, who actually had been loyal to Mohamed Bazoum, was going to wake up one day to say, we are taking over power. Now look at what happened in Russia between Yevgeny Prigozhin, who is said to have died a week ago, and then of course President Vladimir Putin. It was Vladimir Putin who created the Wagner Group in 2014. Right, and actually put Yevgeny Prigozhin in charge. But in June this year, Prigozhin attempted a mutiny against Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin never imagined that it was going to happen. So there is a limit. I mean, this whole concept of loyalty, it is subjective.
You're calling
People
out.
Can't continue.
Let's deal with the
Let's
cause.
deal with the issues. This is the issue. Okay, imagine could be today that you were the president. Imagine that, and I pray you become president someday because you have what it takes. But imagine that you were president and I was the chief of army staff. Don't forget this. Let's say that as a result of your failure to deliver the goods, as a result of your failure to push forward policies that will turn around living conditions, let's say that as a result of that, let's say that as a result of that, my mother in the village is killed. I'm the chief of army staff. Let's say that as a result of your failure, my younger brother in the village is killed. Let's say that as a result of your failure, my uncle in the village is actually kidnapped.
And maybe in the city.
In the city.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. You understand? Let's say, for example, that as a result of your failure as the president to address security issues, let's say that, my uncle's children or my neighbor's children, are kidnapped or something like that. You think I'm not going to get angry? I'm going to get angry. You think that I will continue to remain loyal simply because you have made me chief of army staff? It's not going to happen. That's why I said the other day that, soldiers, yes, they are supposed to be apolitical. They live a regimented life and things like that. But they also are part and parcel of the civil society. Yes. The fact that I'm a soldier doesn't mean that I don't have relatives who are members of the civil society. This is the issue. So if the civil authority fails to address existential problems, one way or another, I'm going to be affected. You think there are no soldiers, high-ranking military soldiers, and military officers who have lost uncles and fathers and mothers and all of this? There are. This is the issue.
Yes.
So I think the issue is not just changing guards or firing officers and replacing them with others. It's about addressing the fundamental causes of these issues.
Though you've not mentioned what possibly could be that fundamental causes.
Well, but I think we've said that over and over.
Yes,
addressing poverty, addressing unemployment.
Good. I think I love it when you're mentioning some of this.
These are the
issues. Of course. Instead of that, Benjamin, we have just barely 3 minutes to be out on this segment.
All right. I want to attach my contribution to the statement credited to Fani Kayode regarding coup in Nigeria and Ghana. I want to beg that political appointees should guide their words, because if this thing happens, it won't affect him directly, but the president. You can just imagine within the last 24 hours, what the president said regarding hardship is for Nigerians to be patient and be determined, and the government will succeed. He's trying to
I think I love the way,
of Nigerians. But now Fani Kayode, who is an appointee, is coming to say it is not possible. Is he saying that Nigerian military is not capable, or is he saying that Nigerians are happy with what is happening in this government? There are a lot of sufferings. If you look at what happened in Niger and Gabon, the citizens are celebrating what happened. Is Fani Kayode telling us that all is well with us? This morning I was reading on Daily Trust that price of rice has hiked again.
Mr. Danjuma, just to even cut you, yesterday in Niger, I think I can't remember the name of the state, but a prayer session was organized for the military junta in Niger. In other words, a prayer session was organized to pray for the success
of their regime,
of the military junta in Niger. That is to tell you how much happy the citizens are.
If you look at Gabon, they took the colonel up, they were throwing him and celebrating.
This is the issue.
Yes, and then Fani Kayode will come and tell us that it is not possible. He should tell us what to pacify the hearts of Nigerians. Yes. He should tell us to be patient with what is happening, because the hardship is too much.
He should also advise government to do
the
needful.
Exactly. He's part of the government. They should do the needful to meet the yearnings of Nigerians. You are talking about agreement between Bazoum and France. I want to tell you that agreement has been in existence for long. If the price of uranium changes today in the market, what France had told Niger is that their own price will remain stagnant, no matter what. What kind of agreement is that? That means they are still in control of that country.
So we're beginning to, you can even blame economic hardship of Niger on France.
Most definitely. Because even the military in Niger, partly controlled by the French.
It's so sad. It's so sad, actually. And thank you for these wonderful contributions. Our viewer and, of course, our listener out there, it's so lovely to have you tuned to this station. It's about time for us to go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll take another dimension. Stay tuned.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your Unity TV?
was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was saying things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here.
Please pay attention. It starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and care nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way.
It concerns you. It a kill love, it a kill dreams. It a land people for jail. War against drug abuse.
Unity.
So ku zama idan kuka girma.
Ya dokin jirgi. Ilimin taurari.
Yara suna da manyan buri, amma rashin ayon a cikin abincinsu zai iya dakile cin gaban kwakwalwansu. Shi yasa sashe ɗaya na Cerelac Junior yake samar da kashi 50 daga cikin 100 na ayon ɗin da jikinsu yake bukata a kullum domin ya taimaka musu su ma su samu sauran fahimta tare da cika burinsu.
Mawaki mai zanen gini.
Cerelac Junior tare da Iron Plus. Wannan abincin yara ne na gaskiya.
Oh, thank you for still being tuned to this very wonderful dial, and of course the station Unity 93.3 FM and TV. There's no country that survives without deliberate efforts and commitment to improve her economy. When a country's economy improves, the life of common citizens improves. And again, the shower of military takeover in Mali, Burkina Faso, and most recently Gabon is not unconnected with the economic hardship on the ordinary people in Africa. Join me today as we discuss this and lots of other issues on the topic of lifting the economy of the commoner, the foundation for stability in Africa. And in the studio this morning, I'm so honored to have Dr. Isa Abdullahi.
Could be.
Doctor, good morning.
Could be good morning. Good morning, Mr. Njuma.
Runaway soldier.
Yeah, runaway soldier. You know, they say whoever fights and run away will live to fight another day.
I'll come back to continue.
So
I was hoping you went to Niger.
Unfortunately, I can say I'm not a member of the National Supreme Council on Islamic Affairs, so those people going to Niger to negotiate then.
Yeah.
But then we are still hovering around, you know, trying to make things be in order. Good morning. A newly branded Unity train on television and radio.
Yes.
Nice having viewers and listeners. Nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you again in the studio. You know I can't do this alone, so I have my brother and shock absorber, Mr. Danjuma Samuel Abu. Danjuma.
Kobe, thank you very much. We appreciate you, listener. We appreciate you, viewer, for being there. Stay tuned as the program continues.
Yes, our viewer and our listener. Just Christian Reform Refugee for Children Foundation, JCRFCF, Jos Plateau State, Nigeria, invites you to her Thanksgiving anniversary celebration and the launching of magazine, children audio album, and display of handcrafted products. It's taking place on Sunday, the 3rd of September 2023. The time is 9:00 a.m. The venue is JCRFCF Chapel of Grace, behind Phototech Abattoir, Jos Plateau State, Nigeria. You too can take advantage of our wide coverage on radio, TV, live streaming on Facebook and YouTube to promote your event goods and services at a very, very affordable price. And to do that, just call us on 0808-478-9999. Your product will be promoted and you will not regret you did that. Thank you so much. Now, Doctor, like I said, I was hoping that you went to Niger and that you'll be bringing us reports, because Danjuma, the report is like every Nigerian is happy that military has taken over. I want to have that other side of it. If there are people who still feel the civilian rule should come on, so it doesn't look like everybody in Nigeria is actually happy with this development.
Yeah, could be. First of all, I just want to extend my my sympathy. There is one of our elders in town, Alhaji Ahmad Ibrahim, may blouse the hijabi, who is in New Market. He's critically sick today, and he's one of the good elders of our community. He's one of those people who are very, very much loved and deared. I just wish him quick recovery from the Almighty Allah, and may the family have the strength to continue to be with him. And then we are expressing our heart with them.
Yes, may God heal him.
Yeah, may God heal him. May the Almighty heal him. And before I could go to the question, could be, I think what I just have want us to look about Nigeria, our own country first, before we can go to Niger. Could be, I think we have to douse our attention, Nigeria. We have to cool our own selves within our own selves. Our government, I could sense, from remote, how President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is very careful in his words, choice of his words, and in his actions, and how calm and composed he is trying to be in this situation. And I can hear some words from some other Nigerians who are supposed to be very responsible and careful people, and never to infuriate more, get more Nigerians to be more infuriated in the hardship they are facing today. And I want us to also bring this at the back of our mind. The democracy we are having today, that is the one from 1999 to date, is the longest democracy we've ever had in the history of our own country.
We cannot
we cannot afford to lose it again. And if we go back again to the trenches, because I can call a military government a trench. Going back to military government is similar to going back to war. I don't see it as something very important in this country. But then I believe a lot of Nigerians will also be feeling they like military government, but most of whom could be very, very young people,
Yes.
very young people.
Yes, and this is, Doctor, this is for an alternative. Not really because Nigerians are beginning to say that.
Mostly, that's why I'm even saying somebody like you could be, who is somebody around 40, above 40, and Malam Najuma, if not older than me, he could be my age.
Younger.
Those of us who were able to witness changes over and over military government, civilian government, we've known what military governments are, and after all, they cannot change even the destiny of the country. The military itself is not even doing far better than even the civilian administrations in Nigeria and Africa as well. So I just want us to have this at the back of our mind, most especially the younger generation of Nigeria. The democracy we have today, it was hardly earned. It was difficult to come by. And I believe democracy is one of the best forms of government in the world. And although I know there are a lot of aberrations, there are a lot of violations of the principles and norms and goals of democracy in Africa and Nigeria as well. But then let's try to be calm. Let's try to give hope on the government, and then let's also call the government to order. Let's call the political actors and gladiators to order. Let's give them a goal. Let's give them a mandate. Let's try to give them, a way that they should follow. We should give them a code of conduct.
Let's make demands.
Let's make demand. Let's hold them responsible to their actions and inactions. Let's get an avenue to make sure that democracy we are in works very well, so that it benefits the poor, it benefits everybody, it benefits the commoner, it benefits Nigerians. And coming back to your question or your preamble, I think in Niger there are two sides of one coin. There are two sides of one coin. You cannot have the tail and the head at the same time. And I want to believe that there were also, Niger is one of those countries in Africa or West Africa who had many military interventions. And the question is that, did the military government change the destiny of the country? Did they change the destiny of the country? Is this current military government going to be different from the former military, which did not change the destiny of the country? So these are some of the salient questions we should. Although I know a common man in Niger, because they are angry with the way civilian administration is going, enriching themselves, embezzling money, living flamboyant life. But then immediately when there is a strike, a military intervention that seizes the power from those corrupt politicians, then people will be happy. They will be celebrating, the same in Niger, the same in Gabon. And then, but then the question is, will they change the destiny? Will they change the country's fortunes? Are they different from the civilians? Will they not corrupt? Will they not be corrupt? Will they not siphon the country's resources? Will they be very repentant people?
The narrative going to change.
Is the narrative going to change because of a military intervention? The answer likely and most likely is it's not going to change.
Okay.
You understand? But then I understand. I was listening to some of the arguments about Niger. Sometimes I was reading on paper when the junta came, and those in support of the junta were allowed freely, even paid money to come to the stadium to demonstrate that how they love, even paid money to come and demonstrate. But then those who were against, and definitely there must be those who were against, definitely.
Were they allowed
also to express their own feelings? You understand? They were not allowed. They were never allowed. So I don't want to overheat that issue. And just last week, at the academic staff union of their universities there in Niger, large number of their lecturers, signed a document that they are in support of the military junta. You get me? Academics of the country. And you can see the dimension that military intervention was coming from. And then about 30 or so of the lecturers who were critical, so much, critical about military intervention, most especially those from political science and sociology, economics and the like, about 30 of them, they wrote a counter, rejoinder against the military junta, but they are now arrested. They are arrested now. Even civil liberty organizations in the country today, they are criticizing the junta Even media houses like you and me now are not free to discuss this military intervention in Niger today. So these are some of the hurdles. These are some of the bad things we have in military governments. But although I'm not saying that I'm supporting, that they are not, the people of Niger are not happy with the intervention.
But it's look at the other side of the story.
We should look at the two sides of the story. There are two sides of a coin.
Yeah, Doc, what you are saying now is we shouldn't think most of these people in these countries are celebrating, but because the media coverage is not taking those who are against.
Of course. Let me come this way, Mr. Njuma. If you look at it this way, for instance, now, know how, Bazoum could be tempted to be one of the best Niger presidents I've ever seen in my little, my period of time. He's one of the best people I could see in the history of Niger as a president, because right from just coming from maybe within 2-3 years, just 2 years, he was able to commission a lot of good projects who were development masses oriented, and of course know how he should have people in his own cabinet who have their supporters. He should have his own political party whom the people love and they follow. Then where are they? Won't they demonstrate? Won't they love his own government? And then those people where he touched the roads there, the companies he has created, those companies that were moribund hitherto, he has made them functional now. Won't the people there be happy? Can they come out and demonstrate freely because of the military government? So I just want us to remain calm. I want us to see that Niger, they are our neighbors, they are our brothers, they are our friends also. And in as much as we love our own peace, we love their own peace. The same way we love Benin Republic, the same way we love Cameroon, the same
Ghana,
way we love Ghana and those people neighboring Nigeria. Because any trouble there is tantamount to trouble in Nigeria. So we should always try to guard them very well. We should make sure things work well.
Okay, Doctor. Now I love this part of our topic today, which says uplifting the economy of the commoner. I think let's just restrict the conversation here, because the commoner, I believe I am of that category.
I'm also
are you serious? Here you'll be telling us.
Okay, look above that class,
Doctor, you look above. It's looking like actually.
Seemingly.
All right, Doctor, let's look at it, please. Uplifting the economy of the commoner. That economy that will have the commoner enjoy life.
When I talk of the commoner, I mean the people on the streets, the common people you can find around you. When you just wake up, the next person you see at your own door, the child of the poor, the child of the downtrodden, the people who are not opportune to be on power, those who don't have opportunity to be among the elite in Nigeria, those who don't have large amount of money and wealth to take care of themselves. Those are people I call commoners. For instance, when you just come out in a day, you realize that a very important person, that person could be somebody you could be thinking he could even offer an assistance to another person, but he could come to you and tell you, I don't have food to eat today. And this is what you find common around in our own communities today. These are people we call commoners in Nigeria. These are people we call commoners in everywhere around the world. In the US they exist. In India they are. In China there are those people. But I just want to. You see, could be there is a natural level of dependency in an economy. There is what cannot be avoided. There are people that are naturally not going to be very rich for one reason or the other. They can't, everybody in a society cannot be rich. But everybody also in the society cannot be employed. But there are certain quantity of employment you can generate that can solve the problem of the unemployed ones. For instance, it is natural in an economy to have at least 4 to 8% of unemployment in a country. In a situation whereby about 92% of people are employed, then if 8% are not employed, the employed ones can cover for those who are not employed in terms of charity, donation and assistance. They can cover that one. But on a reversal, where about 70% of youth may not get employment, and then maybe 40 or 30% gets employment, then we are in a problem. We're in a chaotic situation. And the difference between our own countries and those of the advanced nations is hitherto, prior to remodeling of our statistical generation in Nigeria. In Nigeria used to have about 33% of its people unemployed. And that 33% of our population is almost getting to 60-70 million people, unemployed people. And the employed, if you are employed, you are being given 30,000 naira at the end of the month, or 40,000 or 50,000. You are still living below the poverty line, below, not on the poverty line, below. You are typically a poor person in the country because you are not earning $1 in a day. And this is a very serious thing. Could be some of the features of the commoners in Africa and third world countries is they are lacking basic necessities of life. They are poor. They don't have food to eat. They are ravaged by diseases. They are people who have high rate of maternal mortality. And above all, they have large number of families. One person could have 20 children, 20-something children, who most of them don't go to school. And they are malnourished. They don't have enough food to eat. And then also our commoners in Nigeria and third world countries are those people who don't have the privilege to send their children to even, artisanship, to learn how to be, to get one or two craftsmanship or the other. So these vulnerable children are free for employment in any kind of, atrocity. They are the people that will be for atrocities. They are the people that could be employed to be Boko Haram, lieutenants. They are the people that could be bandits. They are the people that could be Ansara Suka. They are the people that could be disturbing our communities, cultists and nuisance and whatever. So these are some of the features we are having. And could be, what is the feature? What is the feature of democracy?
Looking at all.
Yeah, you get me. Let's expand it to democracy.
Yes.
We so much cherish democracy. We love democracy. Although democracy was being, dressed and packaged and sent to us as a very good government because of the way it operates in other countries. It operates well in other countries. It has principles, history and origin in those countries, because there you can find a situation whereby a senator, for instance, I was reading a text about Barack Obama, the former president of the United States of America. When, he was a senator before he became a president. He was in the Senate, when he was elected the president. In fact, there was a day, some of his house co-tenants. He was a senator. He was in a rented one-bedroom apartment in Washington, D.C. That he was not having enough money to rent a complete house, and he was in a tenancy together with other people in the compound. When he became the president, they came out to celebrate because they were his co-tenant in a house. Yes. And then what he was saying is that when he was a senator, he collected a loan from a bank. And of course, he was a senator representing, I think, Chicago. He was representing Chicago and in the National Assembly. So when he borrowed a loan in the bank to build a house in Chicago, initially he didn't have his own house. He was in a rented house. So he couldn't have enough reserve of money to get a rented big house in Washington. So it was from just that one-bedroom apartment that he became the president of the country. Can you imagine? Can you corroborate it with what is in Nigeria? In the US also, where the democracy functions very well, you realize that democracy in the US budget is for 1 year is more than a budget of Nigeria for like 100 years. Their own budget for 1 year. Although USA is a little bit larger than Nigerian population, it's not up to twice. It's just like 1.5 the population of Nigeria. But it's not even, it's just around 1.5 the population of Nigeria. But the budget of US for 1 year is more than the budget of Nigeria for 200 years in terms of, because they budget around $2 to $3 trillion. When you convert it to naira, it's in quadrillions of naira. So that's a large amount of budget for them to say they have flamboyant senators, they have flamboyant executives, but then they remain very calm. Some of the senators I was reading about their style of living in the United States of America is that they try to be that conservative and that economical as possible, because they manage the economy very well. They don't have that bogus amount of salaries and welfare packages, so that people at the common man may not have enough to eat. What they do is because they don't have enough money, they don't have enough allowances and remunerations. They sit, their allowances are paid when they are sitting, so they cannot rent a complete house. Some of them. What they do is they have what is called the balloon bed. The balloon bed is a kind of a bed. They can hang it on top of their offices, and they climb top and sleep on the top of the office as a bed. Inside the office is their own house, is their accommodation, is their apartment for accommodation. These are some of the revelations of senators in the United States of America, despite the wealth they have, despite everything they have. But is that how our own government functions in Nigeria? Is that how we have are those the kind of African democracy we are having? But what they do differently to make sure that the people are happy is that they make sure that the child of the poor goes to school at whatever ought. No matter the ought, the child of the poor is not allowed to stay without getting. There is a minimum basic education of at least secondary school. Everybody must have that minimum education. If you don't have that, then there is no possibility for you to do anything in the country. So you are forced. Your child must go to school. Whether you have the ability to do that or not, he must go to school. There are provisions for those who are indigent in the country to send their children to school, whether they have money or they don't have. There are provisions for everybody in their own country to get food to eat, the basic needs of life. Even when you are not employed, there are what they call unemployment benefits. Children of young people of about 18, 20 years who are not employed for a period of time could be given their separate apartments. The government could be feeding them, giving them the little things they require, at least to survive and live happily. And those indigents in their communities, they are given, you remember the Obamacare, they have national insurance for the poor people, the indigents, and they have insurance for the elderly people who don't have what to support themselves in terms of their health facilities at their ages. And they have provision for the elderly houses, and then the houses for the orphanages. So those who are downtrodden in the society, the government takes care of them so that those people who are buoyant, they can take care of themselves. But then, and those things do function very well. And there are provisions for how to develop somebody. If you have a capacity, they look at you as a young man who has talents, who has wisdom, who has creativity, who has ingenuity. They don't mind who is your father, what's the status of your father, political position of your father, or religious position of your father, or economic position of your father. Is nothing to count off, because they believe that so long as you are a citizen of the United States of America, they are people, they take care of you, they develop your talents, they develop your skills, and then you become important to the society. You give credit to the United States of America, you develop other people as well, so they can assist you in any way. In Nigeria, you realize that there are young people around our vicinity. I remember this young man in Bokos who creates tractors for himself. He produces tractors a large number. In Bokos here, I forget, somebody Malo in Bokos, yes. He is producing similar tractors, the one with competing competitively with the ones you have internationally. But where is he today? It's supposed to be somebody where the government of Plateau State can invest on. He is supposed to be the person that the government of Plateau State can take him to other countries to learn more of how to develop that talent. Young boys here in the University of Jos, about I think it was 2-3 years ago, in their final year project in mechanical engineering department, they produced a sport car. It was one of the top headlines in the national dailies in Nigeria. Here in the University of Jos, if you go to the Faculty of Engineering, Department of Mechanical Engineering, you get the car they have produced, sports car, in their own final year project. Then where are these young people? In Borno, just about 3 months ago, a young man produced a similar keke napep to what we have, just from items he found around the environment. He gathered them, and then he produced something similar to what we have, we import into the country. How can you develop them? How can you get these people working very well so that our own economy will improve? How can we reduce poverty? Using democracy, using government we are having at our own disposal, so that the people of the country could be happy and then support the government we are having, and we can have stability. Because all this military intervention we are having in Niger, we are having in Mali, we are having in Burkina Faso, we are having in Guinea-Conakry, we have in Gabon of recent, and in Chad, just our neighbors here, also is a military ruler, Muhammad Idris Deby, the son of late Idris Deby, is also a military ruler. Then why are we having all these things? Because the features of Africans are, when they come on power, could be Africans on power, they want to change the constitution and remain forever.
I remember Okay, Doctor, the conversation, is very interesting, but I'll beg that we'll go on a short break.
It's all right.
Thank you very much. Our viewer and, of course, our listener, do stay tuned. We beg you do that, because when we come back, it's going to be all of your time, to call and make your own contributions. Of course, don't forget, you are a community of intelligent viewers and listeners. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
Please pay attention. It starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and care nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way.
It concerns you. It a kill law, it a kill dreams. It a land people for jail. War against drug abuse.
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking...
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again.
Thank you so much for staying tuned to Unity 93.3 FM and, of course, TV. It's lovely, and Beatrice Adamuiji is my name, and in the studio this morning I have Dr. Isa Abdullahi, and together we've been discussing around how to uplift the economy in such a way that every common man, not only in Nigeria but of course in Africa, will enjoy in life, will have his or her life improved, and that's what we're discussing. Now it's time for you to begin to join us, and the number to join is 070-3235-3315. I would want to apologize because we will take 5 out of your time and let Doctor round up on all that he has for us this morning. But before he does that, Danjuma, you put it together with your question so that Doctor will just put it together in the next 5 minutes. Let's give our listener and viewer the time.
Thank you, Kobe. Thank you, listener, for giving us this time. Doctor, I would like to appreciate you for the way you dissected and personified the word commoner. And the purpose of this program, Unity Train, is to carry along the commoner. I want to appreciate the management for putting up this program. And I'll tell you, that's why we have one of our segments as Unity City Report, for us to carry up the issues of commoner. But in the course of your explanation, you mentioned some points I want to take you on. You talked of people with 20-something children not having the privilege to go to school and other things. Doc, I want you to advise. Some of us, like me, I wanted giving birth to plenty children. And in those days, our parents give birth to plenty children. With the economic situation now. And let me take the issue of palliative, for instance. If you look at palliative now, people are shouting that they are just bringing 3 cups to their houses. Now, in the case whereby I have 25 children, my neighbor has 2 children, they bring this bag of rice. They give him 3 cups, and they give me 3 cups. He will be satisfied. I will complain. Even if it's a scholarship that comes, if he gets one for his family, I will not see mine as anything. With the situation on ground now, for the commoner, what advice do you have for the commoner to control the situation on ground?
Well, I think what we have is bordering around the issue of religion and culture. And that's very serious on Africa and Nigeria, northern Nigeria most especially. But then, even Islamically, it gives, I think that's the major tension area even. Islamically, for people to have a larger number of families, they are supposed to be of a high level of income. But the unfortunate situation is that the situation has turned upside down. Those at the highest level of income don't like to have the family, because the position of Islam is, if you have plenty women whose maybe husbands died and they are not married, likely they may be engaged in one or two things outside marriage, and for them, let them have marriage. And they should be in their own family houses rather than promiscuous around the town. But then it's more advice for the elite and richer people to have more family than poor people. But then the situation turned upside down. So the poor people and those people have more. You get me?
Doctor, I remember the former CBN governor, Alaji died as a CBN governor with just one child.
So that all the poverty now is now at the poor
that
people
is left for the poor man is to continue to have children.
You have more children, and you remember that it's also an African culture. It's religion stroke African culture. It's the same. Even those who are not Muslims, there are a lot of countries who are not even who don't even have Muslims in their population, but they have large number of accommodating families. Sometimes, But if you look at Asia, for instance, even the Arabs, those people whom the Islamic religion came from, well, most of them have controlled families and large and small number of families. So I just want us, we have African tradition in us for marriages. I just want us to look at the level of our own income, what we can afford to do, so that we can do things appropriately. So I think this is what I have to take. And in a short while, I think our problem generally in Africa is let's try to control, promote, development of the economy of the poor. How can we develop the economy of the poor? We cannot continue to blame the poor and tell him he's lazy, he is not active, he's not sharp. Have we provided the enabling ground for him to develop? All those children of if you take a child of the poor in Nigeria and put him in another country, he will prosper and develop because conditions there are very, smooth for him to take off, and they are good for him to develop and to thrive. So in Nigeria, we can provide a platform where poverty could reduce. In terms of trying to get these little children basic education, skills that can be acquired, promotion of private development of companies and enterprises so that everybody or large number of people could be employed, and then developing those who are employed, give them more salaries, allowances and wages so that they can cater for the family, give them, support for those people who are producing agricultural products, subsidize agricultural inputs for them to produce more food for us, and then let's have a technology-driven economy, a brain-driven economy, where the economy is being controlled by knowledge, not by ignorance, where the economy is being driven by knowledge, wisdom, research, development. I've been given an example of Germany. Germany doesn't have any petrol, it doesn't have any uranium, it doesn't have any iron and steel, but it's still the strongest economy in Europe. Why? Because they have research and development. If they research just a single, medical breakthrough, they could get billions of dollars, and that's how they support the economy. The brain can sustain the economy even without little resources. The highest resource you have in an economy is the human brain. If you develop the human brain and make the human brain function well, the children of the poor are those intelligent children. They are very, very intelligent, and they are very, very sharp. They are very captivating brains. So if you develop them, they can be anything. They could develop the world. Go to see this young man called Jelani Aliyu, the chairman of Nigerian Automobile Design and Development Council. He is child of nobody, but he was being sponsored by his government, Zampara. Then he went to under scholarship in the USA until when he became the best producer, the best designer of car in the whole world for like 2 consecutive years. So if you develop the children of the poor of Nigeria, they could be everything. They could be anything. They could develop the economy.
All that is left is to inculcate entrepreneurial mentality.
Entrepreneurship. And government cannot give you job, but they can give you an enabling ground so that you can develop. If they do that appropriately with no selfish interest, with no tribalism, with no religion and ethnicity, with no political differences, with no affiliations and whatever, we could have development in Nigeria. And the poor are in the dire need of development because they constitute the largest number of the population, and they are in a very precarious condition, which is very, very troublesome and worrisome. If we don't do anything on it, things are not in order. They are actually not in order in Nigeria.
If we don't do anything deliberate and be committed to doing it anytime soon, there is no certainty to the behavior of the common man. At the moment, you can join us. The studio line remains 070-3235-3315. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. You go straight in a minute, your submissions. And remember, comments that you would get towards should be that which promotes peaceful coexistence. And of course, comments made on this platform and not the position of unity in our 3.3 FM. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Who is on the line?
My name is Abdurrahman. I'm calling from Kadadi.
You're welcome, Abdurrahman. You have a minute.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Abdurrahman Kadadi. Nice to
hear you. It's my pleasure to hear you in the studio.
Thank you very much. Nice hearing you also.
Indeed, concerning the issue of the topic, indeed, if we want to see the development of our country, we have to remove any diversity between this community and the community, and we have to join our hand and build our country, because we don't have any other country like Nigeria, because selfishness is too much from our leaders. So that is why we are not getting any development in our country. So that is what I want to say.
Thank you very much, Abdurrahman, for calling. Thank you. In case you have to send in your SMS, you do that via 0808-478-9 in 4 places. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Kurdi.
Oh, thank you very much. Who's on the line this morning? Hello? Hello? Oh, we apologize. It's not stable, and we're talking about to stabilize the economy, but the network is not giving us that stability this morning. Hello, good morning. Whenever you call, stay away from your radio set, please. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Oh my, please don't be that close with your radio set anytime you call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kurdi.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I do. Calling from Bochidi.
Thank you and amen.
God will continue to bless you people and the guests in the studio.
Amen to that. Amen.
You see, Mr. Kuti, all what I just want to say this morning is that our leader just need to do the needful. They should not wait until the worst occur. At least we should ensure that the needful is done always. Because you see, every generation will bless the government that allow children to go to school and succeed in life. Nigerians are not lazy, because if you see a Nigerian leave the country today and come back tomorrow, you see difference in his life. You see him doing great things, spending money home to take care of his family, building houses, coming to big industry in the nation. So I think our leaders should just do the needful. That's just my major thing. I just urge us to always pray for our leaders. Because we love democracy. We love freedom of speech. So let our leaders just do the needful, and I pray God will still make Nigerians great again. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much for calling Adeomi. Each time he calls, it's prayer for the nation. Another caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm sorry from Redfield here in Jos.
From Redfield, it's good to
have you. Happy New Month.
Oh, same to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May God heal us and heal our nation and continent.
Amen.
You see, a very serious analysis of our problems as Africans and as Nigerians. The serious question here is, who without the car? Because when you look at all analysis, whether the issue of economy,
yes,
and how our leaders have managed and handled it, you ask yourself, those leaders, are they really thinking that they are part of the society? And so many times what they left behind is what they could not solve, and some of them live in total regret because they didn't do what they're supposed to do yesterday. The past president in Nigeria here was asked in Daura. He said he thank God that he has gotten the opportunity to lead Nigeria, and Nigeria has tolerated him. But there are some few things he would have fixed that he did not fix.
Oh,
and I ask myself, when you raise your hand to be a leader, specifically, that ideology, why will you go there and turn away from the ideology that would have run a nation and a country? You begin to run ideology that will suit you and your family.
Thank you very much.
It's a very serious problem. What we need to do is, as a people, we need to push our leaders to do the right thing at every given time.
Thank you very much, Pastor.
If not, it will not work well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pastor calling all the way from Redfield. We'll pick a few more calls and then we read your comments on the Facebook. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
This is Benjamin calling from west of Mind.
Oh, Benjamin, it's good to have you. You have a minute, please.
It's just a question I want to ask the doctor there in the studio.
All right. Doctor is very much around.
My own question is, can we as a country do without this elite? Can Nigeria move forward without this elite? Because as you look at things, based on statistics, youth has almost about 60% of the population of Nigeria. And we are the ones suffering all this lack of improvement and empowerment and some other many things. Can we come out as the youth and keep this elite, the elite aside, and then Nigeria will move forward? How will we do?
Thank you.
Can we move forward without this elite?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, can we do without each other? Okay, Doctor will respond. Benjuma.
Yeah. Good morning once again, listener, and good morning, viewer. As I always say, without you, there is no us. We have a lot of comments here. I want to advise our commentators, please edit your work very well, otherwise I won't be able to read it. And don't send multiple messages because it will choke the place. I want to start by appreciating our followers, Mommy Auta and Reverend Akusok from Rockhaven, Mr. Tunji Adeuni, I know you're there, you're listening and following. Garba Nahali Kamba Kebbi, good morning. Aminu Abdullahi Shaibu, good morning. Kubi Danjuma Shaibu Doro, I'm watching you live from Rikos New Layout. Thank God it's Friday. I wish you best of luck for the good job you are doing. Good morning, Danjuma, Kubi and Doro and guest. Happy Jumat Mubarak to all. We always appreciate your good work you're doing. Please keep it up. God bless you all and your family. May God grant us peace throughout the world and sustainable development. God bless Nigeria and Plateau State. Have a great day from Murtala Yaya Meiga Yanshanuda as our regular. Also Bagon Francis. Good morning, gentlemen. You have said it all concerning leadership and coup juntas by Prof. Military rules never a good one. They will never help people. All what they want. Those who are calling the military to come are enemies of the country and where they defeated during elections. Let's pray for our country. Kizito Cholom, this comment has been okay. Good morning, Denjuma, Uncle B, Doro, and guests in the house. Happy Jumat Karim to all. We really appreciate your good work. I want to greet all Ungwambawa Chicken Jumat Karim to them. Mohammed Tajuddin, good morning to all the gentlemen in the studio, and it's nice to hear Dr. Isa again. I like what Dr. Isa said, that Nigerians, especially the youth, should not think that military rule will solve our problems. It may even make our lives more miserable. Freedom of speech is one of the most important things in the democratic rule, which is hardly possible in military rule. Let's just continue to pressure our leaders to make life better for us. Mohammed Tajuddin from Naraguta. Another one here, Faisal Sadiq. Good morning, Kubi, Danjuma Doro and the doctor. Apt analysis by the doctor. So many people were being brainwashed that the people of Niger are happy for the military rule. For the military, Nigeria is blessed with all the resources that a country is supposed to have developed, e.g. the human resources, population, the sunlight, fertile, and just to mention but a few, but we cannot manage them judiciously and wisely to benefit the common man. It is because of the negligence, embezzlement, and mismanagement of our resources that brought us to where we are today. It is only in Africa that you can see someone looting public fund and be rewarded with a little. If our leaders today can address the problems of our employment, corruption, and insecurity, so also tap and manage our resources very well, Nigeria will be better for us. Honorable Muazu Bala Bagu Jingir. I'll stop for now here.
All right, thank you, Danjuma, for doing a wonderful. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you very much. Who's on the line this morning?
My name is Fina.
You have a minute, please. Go on.
Thank you, Fina. Definitely. I heard that Benjamin has already said it. I heard our politicians to know how to speak, because this type of unnecessary really this type of speaking. What the video I forgot to say what you were saying that.
Fadi
I hope they will guide their statement so that they can just keep quiet, because we don't want any situation like that.
Yes.
People are suffering. I hope President Tinubu will just forget about this issue, because all the things we have been sending people to that place, because the Nigerian know that I told you it's a very separate name, so I hope you will do the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, this one say, good morning. We really appreciate. May God, the source of solace, we pour our worries before you. You know our struggles better than anyone else. Grant us the courage to navigate through this darkness, the resilience to face our challenges, and the faith to believe that our plans are always the best. Ameen. Hassan Garba, thank you so much. I think, Doctor, you will just comment. We have barely 6 minutes to be out of here, and for this edition.
I think let me just make this one before I answer a question here. You see, Colby, the kind of the kind of colonialism in Nigeria was much different from a Francophone colonialism. You know, if you see Gabon, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and whatever, they were all French colonies in Africa. Nigeria, Gambia, Ghana, I think we are just about 4 or so, were colonized by the UK. We have two different kind of colonial administrations and history. And that of Britain is a little bit softer We don't have much case with the British colonial administration. Most of the troubles we have in British West Africa today are either imperialism or bad and corrupt politicians within our own selves. If we had been that focused, we were not selfish. Assuming our politicians are that focused and development oriented, they are not self-centered, they don't amass wealth for themselves against the masses, we would have been somewhere. We would have been among the developed people. We would have been among the most the richest people around the world. But within our own self is our own problem. But then if you look at the French colonies, there is a kind of an outside monster. That outside monster is you are given freedom with one hand, it has been taken back with the other hand. So you cannot develop at your own rate. Therefore, the tendency of people to love more of those people who will hate the French government is more than that of Nigeria. So I want us to bear at the back of our mind that we could have our own solution of our own problem of democracy, governance, and poverty reduction within our own self. It's not from outside. It's not strong outside. So, and then the question of that young man is whether
can we do
without the elites? Yes, we can. The elite are center for development. They are cream of the society. But then, who are the elites of Nigeria and how do they behave? That is our own problem. In US there are elites. In France there are elites. In Israel there are elites. In Saudi Arabia there are elites. But then, how do they behave and how do they look at the problem of the commoner? They look at the commoner as part and parcel of the society. Thereon, they look at the commoner as very important to the society. They look at the development of the commoner is the peaceful existence and stability of the country. That is how the elites of those countries look at the commoner. But in our own way, the elites will look at the stability of the country as how much they gather so that they can protect their families and their immediate friends and communities. That is the way our elites look at it. So what we just do is to do away with bad elites and then bring in good elites and then continue with those in the government who are good elites and then we have a better country.
Doctor, it's not a conversation moment, but what do you mean by do away with bad elites? Doing away with bad elites is when it comes to governance, reject them. You understand? Tomorrow when you come to do election, don't vote for them. When they come and then begin to lure you with little money, 2 naira, 3 naira, so we don't like it. Let's get the better government. Okay, so the comments of FFK,
Femi Fanikayode is somebody who is I don't want to use the words of Obasanjo against him but then I believe he's somebody who likes to be so sycophantic in a government. He will be in PDP today, tomorrow he'll go back to APC. When it is APC, he'll go back to APC, he'll go back to
like Doro would say earlier on the recent edition, segment, Doro described him as a controversial,
highly controversial.
And in the words of Danjuma said he should guide his comments.
You get me? Well, Femi Fanikayode, if he looks at the HAUSA man today as the person that he will get something from him, he will say his parents were Fulani when they came to this thing. Because those were his words sometimes.
And that's words.
Sometimes when he finds out that it is from the Yoruba person, he will insult Usman Danfodio and say he is a very so person. You understand? So Femi
he's a patronizer.
You understand? What my final words are: we should try to become in Nigeria. Democracy is hard-earned, but then the citizens of the country should be taken care of by the government. And we need to be prayerful, we need to be steadfast, we need to be purposeful in our own dealings and affairs.
Thank you very much. Benjuma.
Yeah, I'll read one comment and appreciate a few. From Kizito Cholomon. Good morning, Kubi and the guests. The hardship in the country is too much. Just imagine the rice palliative that was given just in one ward. 3 bags of rice to be shared for about over 40,000 people. This is scam. My heart is filled with bitterness because our leaders are taking us for granted. I pray both Christians and Muslims will unite and stand up for their right. Really, where we go wrong to deserve all this hardship of our leaders, Pastor Kizito. And our appreciation goes to the following. I want to thank Sam Talks, Matthew Birthday, Ibrahim Hassan Bakar, Garba Nahali, Kamba Kebbi, Yusuf Lawan Sani, Umar Dashe, Eme Gunda, Maryam Dasuki Nakande, Abakar Abdullahi, Musa, Abdurrahman Awal Ayagi, Abdul Majid Jibril Tofa Sadi Law, Kizito Cholam Sadiq Gentle Boy, Adango BC, Aminu Abdullahi Shaiba, Abdullahi Ian Gangare, Sani Isa Aliu, Murtala Yama Igia, Said M. Abakar, Notable Dan Salim. Thank you. And thank you for staying tuned. I remain yours truly, Danjuma Samuel Agbo.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Isa. It's good to have you in the studio.
Nice being with you also.
Thank you very much. Danjuma, once again, thank you.
Thank you.
A special invitation, don't forget, Just Christians Refugee for Children Foundation, JC. RFCF, Jos Plateau State, Nigeria, invites you to her Thanksgiving anniversary celebrations and launching of magazine, children audio album, and display of handcrafted products. That is on Sunday, September 2023, and time is 9 o'clock a.m. Venue, JC RFCF Chapel of Grace Auditorium, behind Phototech Abattoir Jos. You too can take advantage of our wide coverage on radio, TV, and live streaming on Facebook and on YouTube to promote your events, goods, and services at a very affordable price. You will not regret doing this. And thank you so much for being with us. This is the last edition of Unity Train for this week. Monday is going to be another beautiful day.
Yeah, of course. Just to add, you can add to it. The TV is on the free-to-air satellite dish for people to follow us on TV.
Yes, you get all of those details. Those of you who are already there and those who are still on radio, we get all the details and everything you need to know so that you'll be with us in our subsequent edition. And thank you so much from me, Beatrice Adamu Iji. Could be if you like. Bye-bye. See you on Monday.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
Please pay attention. It starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and cannot